Okay, so we're live. So, hello everyone. My name is Apala Saikran. I'm the founder and CEO of Scope, and welcome to the sixth edition of Scope Talks, in which we'll be talking about debunking the myths about personal branding. And today, as a guest, we have Amelia Sordell, the founder of Klowt, and one of the leading personal branding agencies in UK. So, without any further ado, I would like to add Amelia Sordell.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you going? Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for your time. And if you could just give a quick introduction about yourself to the audience, it would be really helpful.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Amelia Sordell, as you so lovely introduced me as. I run a personal branding agency called Klowt, and we essentially build the personal brands for leadership, entrepreneurs, C-level people across multiple industries, across multiple enterprise organizations, as well as startups and scale-ups, basically to build authority for those people in the space in which they want to be an authority in. And that's usually because they want to generate some more business. They want to position their company as the company, not just our company of choice. And yeah, hire more people. So personal branding is the only thing that we do. And we're very, very good at it, I think.
That you definitely are good at it, as I have been I'm a crazy fan about your organization and the culture that it has and your unique perspective towards personal branding. It really excites me you to learn more about this domain. And in recent times, I've seen so much regarding personal branding that people are trying to establish their presence or their expertise across various platforms. May that be Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, or any other social media platform. They're trying to create their brand presence. So I would just like to kickstart off with a very basic question. So in your own perspective, how would you like to define personal branding?
Personal branding is it's basically, look, your reputation, right? Your reputation when you're not in the room or you're not online or you're not speaking to someone, it's how people perceive you and who you are and what you're about. Personal branding essentially is the strategy you use in order to execute that reputation. So if you want to be known as someone who's an expert in marketing, a really authentic, like down to earth human being, personal branding will help you achieve that aspirational reputation when executed correctly.
So when we talk about personal branding and we get that key insight, it's regarding establishing your credibility with your clients, or it's regarding establishing your presence or telling your story of your business. And what is the one biggest thing that you feel is very much misunderstood regarding personal branding? That if, let's say, clients are coming to you like regarding understanding the concept of personal branding and to hire services, and when you interact with them, what's the one thing that you see common across all the clients that they misunderstand a lot about personal branding?
I think the number one thing is people think it's an ego driven activity and that it's all about me, 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 me. And actually, the reality is it's the total opposite. If you have the humility and the self awareness to put yourself at the forefront of your business, there is nothing egotistical about that, provided you're doing it from a place of humility. We specialize basically in helping people use their personalities as their competitive business advantage. There is nothing egotistical about that. That's a strategic marketing tactic that will help people buy into you, but also, more importantly, buy into your business and also position yourself as an expert in the space, right? We all know people buy from people, but more importantly, they buy from people that they trust. Personal branding allows you to do that at scale. So this whole idea that personal branding is an ego-driven activity is totally false. It's all about how can we cut through the noise and reach the people that we want to reach in the places that they're already kind of behaving, i.e. Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it might be, and get them to know who we are instead of chucking stuff out on a company branded page and just hoping someone is interested in it.
So that's something actually I can agree with upon, because I started my entrepreneurial journey at the age of 17. Currently, I'm 19, but I started at the age of 17. And when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I thought it was just about the getting a perfect idea and applying it, working on it. But there are a lot of pillars that take place into having a successful entrepreneurial journey. And one of the things that I am recently working upon is my personal brand. So when I came across this term with this very peculiar term, I was thinking, okay, it's just about me. I just got to tell what I am. But I started following you and Cloud Agency, and the perspective that I got from the whole concept of personal branding is unique. It's not about me or what people think. It's about me boasting about my achievements. It's not that. It's basically sharing my story regarding the business I started and how I'm connecting with you, how we have a common grounds to connect, how we have some common grounds to connect on. So coming to the very next question, which I think is very interesting for me. So what made you so interested regarding personal branding? Why did you venture into this domain specifically?
I didn't honestly have a plan to. I think like a lot of business owners, I kind of very organically sort of fell into it. I started building my personal brand without knowing that it was called personal branding in about 2018. And I was posting content around recruitment marketing and how people can hire better and B2B marketing, because that's what I was specializing in at the time. And very quickly gained like a decent follow count. Like I was getting like 8,000 followers or something, and a decent amount of engagement. I had my first viral post, 2 months in or something. And I was like, wow, like people are really interested in this. Like, this is cool. Like, we'll keep doing it. And it was driving traffic to the company I was working for at the time. So for me as a marketer, I was like, this is great. Like, I'm just going to keep doing this. And then I started getting messages from people who were saying, hey, how did you get 8,000 followers? Like, can you tell me like how you did it? And I'm really, really lazy, right? Like, if I can find the most efficient way to do something, I'm going to find it. And so instead of DMing these people back, I was like, well, why don't I just put this out as content and see if people are interested in it? And people were interested in it. And instead of it being 8,000 followers, it then became like 20,000 followers. And then all of a sudden, all these other people were DMing me being like, hey, can we pay you to do this for us? And if I'm honest, at the time, like I didn't really have any interest in doing that. Like I was just enjoying building a community and like having conversations with people and, doing all that good stuff. And then I got headhunted and I went and worked for a VC, basically doing the same thing, marketing, recruitment, marketing, employer branding, employee engagement, that kind of stuff. And that's really where my personal brand took off, because I really dedicated a huge amount of time to building my profile. Because for me, like my core job at that role was to help the business hire for the companies in their portfolio. And I could not think of an easier way than to hire people than to build my brand and attract them to me to want to work for the company. And so when the pandemic happened, I'd already built up like a very decent following of people who were interested in what I was saying and talking about personal branding and like, my thoughts on recruitment and marketing and all that good stuff. And then when the pandemic happened, and for context, just before that, I'd already started doing personal branding workshops as part of the company I was working for. And when the pandemic happened, the entrepreneur sort of part of me, which has always been there, I've always had little side hustles. I've had loads of businesses, loads of failures in businesses, quite well documented. I speak about them often, about how I lost everything in my first business. But when the pandemic happened, and that kind of little bug is always there, it never goes. There's always like, oh, what can we do next? Like, what's the next thing? Pandemic happens, and I'm like, why the hell am I working for someone else when I could be doing this for myself? So quit my job, started Klowt. I didn't start Klowt with the intention of growing it to be this big agency. I started it because I just wanted to get paid doing something I loved. And fast forward 2 years later, we're a team of 9. We have got offices in Covent Garden, which is like the central London, ad land. We have some incredible clients. We do an amazing job for them. Like, we're very, very lucky that, we have clients that trust us, which enables us to do our job for them. Or do the job they're paying us to do for them. And very loyal clients too. Like, the first client I ever signed is still a client today. And that's, I think, a testament to how good my team is executing the stuff that they say they're going to execute, and how good they are at building a brand for someone. So yeah, it was, to answer your question, like my entrepreneurial journey has been very organic. I didn't set out to start a business. I set out just to basically get paid doing something I enjoy. And because I enjoy it so much, I've been able to, scale it to something that's quite substantial. And we've got some pretty big growth plans over the next couple of years. So I'm really excited to see where it goes.
So that's quite inspirational as well, because many people start off with a vision to you be successful in their journey, or achieve a load of money, or just hitting the fame scenario. But your journey, about you just want to enjoy the journey you are having, and you just want to do what you love. And it's actually a huge achievement that, when you have your first ever client still sticking with you and still, as your client up till now, that says loads about you as an agency and you as a founder and an entrepreneur, that how you put the work out there for what you say. And it's just amazing. So as we were talking about failures as well, uh, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced, while you were working or developing your company, or when you're developing your own personal brand, and when you face the failures, how do you rebound from them?
God, biggest failures. There's been tons. How long have you got? Like, I feel like every week we fail at something. Like, and I don't mean that lightly. Like, we do. That there's some really big examples of like deadlines being missed and invoices not going out. We had a £45,000 hole in our revenue in Q1 because I forgot to send invoices to people. Like, that's a really big fuck up. Like, huge fuck up. But I think the thing is about failure, or like whatever you want to call it, it's just part of winning. Like, you don't see Usain Bolt just giving up because he didn't do the best time. Like, he just kept going at it until he got that time that he needed to get to win all those gold medals. Equally to Beyonce, she didn't give up when she didn't get that record label straight out the bat of Destiny Child, or like, when one song flopped, she didn't just give up. Like, she kept going. And I know those are really kind of top level, like fluffy analogies, but that's the reality, right? What's the alternative? What, you just give up? You just stop because things are hard? Like, life is hard, life's unfair. Like, that's the reality. So I think all of us can kind of take away a lot from looking at people who've succeeded, however you kind of frame success in life. Every single one of them has a common denominator, which is they've fallen on their ass a few times and got back up. And I think it's a really, really, really undervalued skill to have the confidence, if you like, or even the motivation to go, you know what, that didn't work, but we're going to keep going. And I think Michael Jordan famously said, like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It's so much more gratification, it's so much better to take a shot and fail and miss it than just to not have taken it in the first place. So yeah, I mean, look, it's cliche, but failure is an option. It should be an option. It should be an option for everyone, because if you're not failing, then you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, so that's something, is quite a taboo sort of thing, even though it's common, it's taboo still. Failure is something, is looked with skeptical, with a magnifying lens. I, for myself, had sent over 300 emails during my early stages of my startup. I sent 300 emails. I was reaching out to VCs, and, I was rejected badly in the worst way possible. I was rejected by saying that, please stop sending emails, or your idea has your idea has no value. Of a lot of things were coming, but I for sure believed in my idea for what it stands for, and what the customers want, who my target audience was, and even they wanted the platform. So yeah, so when we started taking off, and now we are coming up with the big news that Microsoft for Startups is backing us with a
That's amazing.
$150,000 check. So that's a big news coming up after a lot of failures. So yeah, failure is a taboo which needs to be made common, and it shouldn't be looked as something, oh my god, you have failed. It's fine, you have failed, but it's time to move on. The show must go on. So it's something like that. So coming to the
Congratulations on that as well. Like, be proud of that moment. It's just one of many moments that are coming to you, no doubt.
Thank you so much. So, what's the current vision at Cloud? How are you seeing the future vision at Cloud, with all the growing progress, and with it being named as one of the leading personal branding agencies in UK? What's your vision right now? What are you currently focusing on?
Yeah, so the vision for the business is to be the leading personal branding agency globally. So we want to be the IMG for entrepreneurs, leaders, founders, etc. And I'm talking talent management, brand management, website development, booking people on stages, managing their social media account, doing their traditional PR, writing their articles for them. We want to be the agency that makes the next Elon Musks, the next Mark Zuckerbergs, the next Grace Beverleys, these people who've got huge personal brands and massive presences across multiple industries. That's what I want Klowt to do. And we're working our way to that. I think the vision, like end goal, is just being known as the people that do it. I don't need to be the biggest in terms of headcount. I need to be the best. And that's where ultimately where my vision is. It's not about having 1,000 people in the business. It's about having good people in the business who can execute excellent work to a point where people know us synonymously with personal branding. Like, when you think of smartphone, you think of Apple. When you think of soda, you think of Coke. I want people to think of Klowt when they think of personal branding. So it's gonna be a slog. It's going to be a graph, but we're halfway there, I feel, or at least a little bit of the way there. And every day is more progress in that direction.
That's really great. And as you said, it's absolutely right. You don't have to be big in number, but you just have to have the best team who are just good at what they do.
One of
And
the greatest travesties, just on that point about growing a business, is people celebrating headcount. Like, headcount does not make you a good company. It means that you have more people in the company than probably you need. So if we're going, and look, I've been guilty of it. I say, oh my God, we're a team of 9. But the reality is the work that we pump out as a team of 9 is really, really good, right? Like, we make a lot of revenue for that amount of people. I think when people talk about, oh, I'm a team of 100 ahead of I've made this much in profit, your focus is in the wrong direction. You need to focus more on your profit and your margins and how much money the company's actually making over, look how many people I've hired. Because you could make 3 million quid a year, but if you're doing that across 100 people, you're not profitable.
exactly. And I guess it is the biggest travesty, because even if a client looks at an agency, they look at, how much is the headcount? How big is the team? Or even if it's looked at from a business metric, then if you have to apply for something, people look at how big is your team. But what you said is absolutely right, that, the quantity doesn't matter, the quality basically matters. Even if it's a small team, what is the output you're ready to put out? If it's a small team of 10 people who can deliver results of equivalent to 100 people, it's worth it. I'm happy having 10 people. I don't need to have 100 people. The revenue can be better split and better be utilized. So coming to the very next question in this, when you take on clients, when you onboard clients, what is the first or the basic initial stage, during the initial stage, what's the key thing you focus on in building the personal brand? What's the key metric you focus on?
I mean, look, it depends on the client. Like, if the client is doing it for sales, then there's a completely different set of metrics that we are looking for versus someone who's looking for thought leadership. I think the thing is, all boils down back to brand, right? How do you measure brand? Well, you measure brand by looking at vanity metrics, by looking at impressions, by looking at audience growth, but more importantly, looking at the people within that audience. Like, who are they? Are they in line with the target audience that we're trying to achieve, or are they completely misaligned? In which case, maybe our strategy isn't working and we need to revisit it and change it. I think the thing is, you can listen to everyone being like, you need to focus on this, like, you need to focus on followers, you need to focus on whatever. You need to work out what your goal is in order, like, to build your personal brand. If you're doing it from a sales perspective, ultimately your goal is going to be about how many referrals you're getting to your website, or how many goals you're converting, or how many leads you're generating, or how many conversations you're having off the back of the content that you're producing and the things that you're doing. But if you're doing it from a brand awareness perspective exclusively, which obviously leads to sales eventually, then there's a completely different ballgame. You need to be looking at impressions, you need to be looking at engagement rate, you need to be looking at audience growth. Both are equally as important, but you need to kind of reverse engineer it back to what your goals are. So it's not about followers, it's about the quality of the people that you're reaching, and whether or not the strategy you're using to reach them is in line with the strategy that you're actually trying to achieve or execute.
So basically, it revolves around the client's needs and, what you're trying to achieve with your personal brand.
It has
So
to.
it
What's the point of
yes,
posting content if there isn't a point? Like, I think
exactly.
fundamentally, I could go and post something I could go and post a selfie on LinkedIn every single day and go viral. I know for a fact I could do that. You do this like big sob story every single day with a selfie and go viral. I know that. But I don't do that because I don't want those types of followers. Those types of followers aren't going to buy from me, and they're definitely not going to be part of my community. I want followers who are interested in personal branding, who are interested in what I have to say, who want to add to the discussion, and who ultimately are potentially going to either be able to build their personal brand off the back of the content I'm posting, or pay us to do it for them. I won't achieve that by posting selfies every single day. So I'm not saying don't post selfies. I'm just saying look at who you're trying to reach and why you're trying to reach them, and then build a strategy off the back of that. Because anyone can get 100,000 followers. It's really easy. We all know that if you chuck a certain amount of content out there with a specific, type of thing, you will get lots of followers, but those followers mean absolutely nothing unless they're part of a community, unless they're really bought into you. Followers don't matter, relationships do. And unless you're building those relationships with people through that continuous conversational content and giving them a reason to actually be part of your community, then you're never actually building a personal brand. You just have a lot of followers.
That's, actually very well said. And in this whole, because everyone looks at a position, everyone wants to just go viral across social media platform, and that's completely aimless. People just want to post, and people just want to post and try to go viral. And when we ask that, what's your content strategy, or what are you exactly looking for, it's completely aimless and clueless. So many people don't exactly understand, or have a misconception regarding what exactly is personal brand and how they plan to attain their personal brand image across various platforms. So coming to this question again, so exactly when you wake up for a day, or before you go to bed, what exactly gives you the satisfaction regarding your work? What exactly excites you so much that you wake up from your bed?
So the things that excite me most are when I get a message from one of my employees being like, "Oh my god, look what we did for this client," or "Look what I did for this client," or "Look at the results we've got," or "I'm really proud of this work." Like seeing them excel. It's not like, look, I really care about the work we do for clients, and you can ask that of my team will always tell you I've got very high standards. But I care more about how well my team are doing, because if the team are doing well, the client piece will take care of itself. It's more important that my team are happy and excelling and doing a good job and feel proud of the work that they're doing. That's the most important thing to me. And it brings me the most joy as well. Like when I get messages from people being like, "Oh my God, I love my job. I just did this." Like that makes me really, really happy. I feel like I've done my job as an employer. But the other thing that really gives me a lot of joy, and I feel like this is like counterproductive to what every entrepreneur should be like, "Oh, I get the most satisfaction from when we like get a big deal and like whatever." But actually the reality is the most satisfaction I get is when I get DMs from, a student or a single mom or a single dad or someone who's just lost their job and is trying to figure out where they need to go next. When I get DMs from them on social media, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Instagram saying, "Thank you so much for putting this content out there because it's given me the confidence to go out and find that next thing. And, if it wasn't for you then and putting this stuff out, then I don't think I would have achieved XYZ." In that moment, that's not about me. That's I'm just sharing information. I'm just the vehicle of knowledge, right? Like I've done this before. I know how to do it. And if I can pass that knowledge on, then I think that's a great gift to give. But those people have taken that knowledge and applied it and then made their life better as a result. And that honestly gives me goosebumps just saying it. It makes me so happy when I get those messages from people. And regardless of like money, revenue, EBITDA, profit, all that kind of stuff, it's those little moments that I enjoy the most. It's those little human interactions that I enjoy the most.
So that obviously, gives a sense of satisfaction, a sense of happiness that, we were able to, support someone indirectly through our content, or in any manner, help them get one step closer to their goal. That gives a sense of satisfaction and happiness. And that's the best feeling ever. And that's the biggest motivation that any entrepreneur can get. It's not, no amount of check size or no amount of deal can ever buy that satisfaction. That I can say for sure. So, as the topic suggests, debunking the myths about personal branding. So, what is the one biggest myth that you would like to debunk about personal branding? And what is that myth that makes you laugh about personal branding? When people say, you start laughing.
So the thing that I'd like to debunk is that you can't just create content and expect it to do well. I think there is a level of arrogance with people and posting content that they think, "Oh, because I created something, like people should like it," and then when people don't like it, they get upset, or they take it personally, like a personal rejection. The thing is, you're not owed anything. People don't owe you any attention. They don't owe you any likes. And if you're not getting any likes on your content, take it as feedback. Don't take it as failure. I posted for 12 months before anyone gave a shit about what I was saying on LinkedIn, and now I've got 122,000 followers and 100% inbound business. So don't kind of be so arrogant to think that like people should like your content. If they don't like your content, it's feedback. Take the feedback on board and reevaluate what you're putting out. I think also another myth it would be kind of good to debunk, or whether it's a myth, I don't know, is people don't give a shit about you. Like they really don't care. So if all your content is only about you, you're not really going to build any kind of thought leadership. You have to give people something in return. You have to give them knowledge and freebies. And what I mean by that is I give 100% of my knowledge away for free, because knowledge that's shared is powerful. If you just gatekeep stuff, that's not helpful to anyone. And equally, I know that by giving the information away for free that I normally charge for, like we charge clients for the same thing, right? But I'm giving it away for free. I know that I'm going to position myself as an expert in personal branding because people are getting all this free information from me. But I also know that there's going to be a percentage of people that are looking at that information and can't be bothered to do it for themselves. So they're going to pay me to do it. So it's like a twofold thing of helping people elevate their life, but also business generation, because it's basically positioning me as the expert in personal branding. And I think that's a really, really underrated thing. People think that, all they need to do is just talk about themselves and people will buy into them. No, what value are you adding to someone else's life? You need to do this from a selfless perspective, not a selfish perspective. And of course, give your opinions, give your thoughts. People want to know them, but give something back. And that leads really nicely into my last point, which is you need to engage with other people's content. Social media is called social media for a reason. If you're not being social, how the hell do you expect anyone to be interested in your content? So go and comment on other people's stuff, be involved in communities, add to discussions. Don't just say, oh, this is a great post and like run away. No one gives a shit about that. They want to hear what your actual thoughts are. Go and give some love to other people if you expect it in return. And I think the final piece, I know I said that was the final piece, but this is the final piece. You need to be consistent. Like, as I said, 12 months before anyone gave a shit about me. And people, I literally was doing a podcast earlier and the guy said, oh, you just blown up overnight. And I was like, no, I've been doing this for 4 years. Like, you wouldn't expect to go to the gym and have a rock hard body in 2 days. So don't expect to post content for 2 days and have a big personal brand. It's all about building your reputation over time. And unless you're showing up every single day with something to say, some value to add, some interesting, point, whatever it might be, it could not be that interesting, but you have to show up. And if you don't show up, then you won't ever build a personal brand. I always say to people, personal branding is 10% quality content and 90% consistency in posting it, because anyone can create great content, but virtually no one actually consistently does it.
Yeah, that's actually the key element, because everybody just looks at one aspect of suspect, that when you're growing and when you're succeeding, that's the only key picture that everyone wants to look at. But the amount of work, the groundwork that's gone into, the amount of sleepless nights that's been put into, the hard work that's been put into, that nobody is taken a look at. And definitely the one great point that you have been put out is social media is for a reason known as social media. If you do not interact, you do not socialize within different platforms, you don't expect results for your own content. So you definitely need to be consistent, and you need to be social enough to just interact with anyone and everyone possible over there. So, before we sign off with our today's live interaction, I would like to ask you, what would be your one piece of advice as an entrepreneur to any upcoming entrepreneur?
One piece of advice. I don't know if I can give just one. There's so many.
It's
Um,
fine.
I think
Any,
above all, like, just fucking do it. You can come back from anything. You can come back from a business failure, from being fired from your job, from missing a rental payment, from maxing out a credit card. You can't come back from regret. You can't come back from in 20 years' time thinking, damn, I wish I'd started that thing. So yeah, just fucking do it. Like, the reality is, what is the worst that's going to happen? The worst thing that's going to happen is it doesn't work. And then at least you know it didn't work. Don't live with regret because you were too scared to give it a go. And there are so many ways in which you can make sure that you're financially supported whilst giving something a go. Like, go work in a bar at nights, go do Deliveroo, go whatever it might be to put money on the table to help you, focus on the thing that you want to focus on, which is building your business. And I think it's also important to note that, like, not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. And I think we live in a world right now where unless you are an entrepreneur, you're in some way not successful, which is total bollocks. Like, most CEOs in the world are employees, FYI. They didn't start the business, and yet they're earning a couple $1 million a year. So let's be real and really think about, do you want to start a business, or do you want to start a business so you can have the clout to say, I started a business? Because the two are very different. The effort that it requires to get a business off the ground and for it to be profitable is extraordinary. And if you don't have a love or a desire intrinsically to want to do that, you never will be able to muster up the extraordinary effort that you need in order to achieve that result. So yeah, really ask yourself, is this what I want to do, or is this what social media has told me that I should want to do? Because actually being an employee is much better way of achieving like paychecks and promotions and money and cars than starting your business. Starting your business is, it's a lifestyle choice. It's not just a career
Yes,
choice.
that's something I can definitely, agree upon because, many people just look at the glorious part of businesses or business founders, having a couple of 10, 12 zeros on paychecks, or, having a glorious lifestyle, having a luxurious lifestyle, having a very successful
Nothing
business.
glamorous about starting a business. It is so
Exactly.
95% of your job is admin. Like really.
Because when I started off, I had reckless sleep. I had a reckless sleep schedule. Obviously, I was trying to connect with people in US, across Australia. It was crazy for me. The max I would sleep is for 3, 4 hours, and I was up. I was working anywhere and everywhere I got a chance. I used to go and pitch. I scared my parents as well because of my sleep schedule. That's a whole other thing that they're worried about. But yeah, it takes a lot of energy, effort, and you got to be consistent no matter how many failures come your way. You just got to put in all the effort that you have because you're practically turning something imaginary that's in your mind into reality. And as far as it comes to failure, I have this very nice quote that I have in my bedroom wall that, I either learn or I win, but I never lose.
That's a
So,
Nelson Mandela quote, win or
yeah,
learn.
exactly. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm just gonna learn or I'm gonna win, but I'm never gonna lose. So that's the thing I follow very dearly, that I'm never gonna lose. So that's it, and I guess I can we can wrap up our today's sessions. And I would like to thank you for your great insights into personal branding, and I would like to thank everyone for their time into hearing us out. And I hope you had a lot of takeaways with this interaction. So stay tuned for more updates on the other interactions that are coming up, and have a great day and a great evening ahead. Thank you.